Hey guys, today I'll be doing a Beyblade Tournament Analysis of the My Beyblade Academia 1A versus 1B tournament hosted by Frost and Beyblade Rob in North Carolina last week. So this was a team format tournament, and the way teams work within the WBO is each team must have exactly 3 players, one of which must be the team captain. Now the team captain is responsible for notifying the judge of the order in which the players will play, and the captain is also responsible for letting the judge know who will play in case of a draw. So let's go ahead and get right into this analysis. Now, the theme of this tournament is based on My Hero Academia, and the teams were named around the classes in that show. So there were teams 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, etc. And these teams did line up with some of the chassis within Beyblade. So the 1A chassis, the 2A, the 4A, etc. And some of them didn't match up, but there were 8 teams in this event, so we did have to make up some teams that would match these teams. Now, the first matchup is between teams 3A and 1B. Now, 1B was by far the best team in the event. Seeding wise, they were ranked 2 times higher than teams 2, 3, and 4. So the bladers on team 1B were Beyblade Glass, Kamek, and Arthur Paul. And those are the number 1, I believe, 4 and 5 top bladers in North Carolina. And team 3A was made up of Beyblade Rob, Mateo, and Queese. Now the combos used by these 2 teams is team 3A used Hollow Lucifer 2 Wheel Drift, Tempest Dragon 2A Xtend Plus, and Tempest Lucifer 2 with 1S Wheel and Drift. And team 1B used World Hyperion 2 with a metal chip core, 2B and Drift. They used Tempest Solomon with a metal chip core, 1S Roll, and Atomic. And they also used Hollow Lucifer 2 with 2A and Xtend Plus. So the first matchup is between Beyblade Rob and Beyblade Glass. So this is going to be the Hollow Lucifer 2 Wheel Drift versus World Hyperion 2 with the metal chip core, 2B and Drift. So this is a same spin drift versus drift matchup. So in a same spin matchup, you really want to be launching as hard as possible so that you do have more stamina than the other Beyblade. Now, since they are both using drift, it does get a little tricky, as drift has a really good chance of self-KOing the harder you launch it. So what they really want to be doing is sliding or tilting launches fairly hard so that they can make contact and sort of not do this tornado stall and self-KO. Now, it did look like Beyblade Rob tilted his launcher, but he did end up doing a tornado stall, which is pretty interesting. So let's see what happened here. So yeah, his launcher is tilted. Okay, so when he actually went to launch, he did turn the launcher parallel with the ground, so his combo did go straight down and end up tornado stalling. And you can see that Beyblade Glass is also launching straight down, so they both will definitely end up doing a tornado stall. So here, I'd say Beyblade Glass did sort of get lucky. So now this is something that I do think some of the bladers in North Carolina are a bit confused about, and that is the ruling on self-KOs. So a lot of bladers in North Carolina do believe that if there is no contact, then there is no point awarded to the opponent. That is not the case. So by WBO rules, if a Beyblade exits the stadium, whether that's in the first part of the tournament or the finals, it is a point for your opponent. It doesn't matter if the Beyblade makes contact or not, it is a point. Now, I think some of the confusion could be due to some of the rulings which have been implemented in North Carolina regarding new players and younger players. So to sort of make the game a little bit funner, we have implemented sort of a 3-strike rule where bladers are allowed to get up to 3 stadium misses before it is considered a point for your opponent. However, that isn't really the rule, and it is at the discretion of the organizers. So there was contact, so that was fairly straightforward. So again, they both launched straight down, and it does look like Beyblade Blast is light launching, which he really shouldn't be doing, as that hollow combo definitely weighs a lot more than his world combo. So he really should be doing a sliding launch and trying to make contact as soon as possible. And he should be launching at least mid to high. So this matchup is really just going to be the same, sort of the same thing over, as you can see Blast is launching extremely light. And Build-A-Rob is launching his combo fairly hard. So he's definitely going to have more stamina than this world combo, especially since they are both same spin. So yeah, that was a win for Build-A-Rob. So something else to note about team events is the scoring. So teams have an overall score, which is the cumulative score throughout the rounds of each of the bladers on the team, and bladers have their own score, which is recorded within the rankings for that individual blader, as there are no team rankings within the WBO. So you'll see that the team score will keep going, and each new blader will reset to 0 points. Now this next matchup is between Queez the Beast and Arca Paul, and Arca is the 5th highest ranked blader in North Carolina. So the combos these two are using are Tempest Dragon 2A Xtend Plus for Queez the Beast, and Tempest Solomon with the Metal Chip Core, 1S Wheel, and Atomic for Arca. So Tempest on Atomic is a really popular combo in the Carolinas, and this is a very interesting matchup, as it is a Tempest on 1S Wheel versus a Tempest on 2A. Now, if everything is the same regarding the drivers, then the 2A combo definitely has an advantage. However, in same spin, Atomic does have an advantage over the Xtend Plus. So what Queez really wants to do is he should be launching as hard as he can, and he should be doing a tilted or sliding launch to destabilize that 1S Wheel combo. So you can see he did launch straight down. So his Tempest isn't very aggressive at all. It's actually off balance compared to this 1S Wheel combo. So he really wants to destabilize it and make it hit up against that 2A to slow it down. So that is something else that is also unique to team events. So in normal Beyblade tournaments, you are not allowed to give advice to players. However, in team events, teams are allowed to talk strategy mid-round or between rounds amongst each other. So what we implemented for this tournament is each team captain had 2 timeouts, and those timeouts were a minute each. And the reason we did that is we didn't want teams stopping and talking strategy for a long time between every single round, as we did want the tournament to run as smooth as possible. So for this timeout, I do believe the strategy talked here was switching the mode of Tempest, and it does look like he may be in attack mode. However, the problem is he launched straight down again, so he went into a uncontrollable tornado stall. So that is a valid strategy, changing the mode of Tempest, and I do that a lot. Specifically, if I go against a opposite spin drift combo, or if I go up against a same spin atomic combo, I will personally switch to defense mode and I'll do a sliding launch so that I can sort of have a flower pattern and be as aggressive as possible. As in cases of Tempest on atomic, I'm not going to outspin it, so I really want to try to KO it. And I do think that is what Team 3A was attempting to do. However, Queese did launch straight down. And something else to note, you can switch modes of drivers as much as you want between the rounds. However, you do have to let the opponent and judge know that you are switching your driver mode. So you don't have to say what mode you're switching to, but you do have to say you're switching modes. So this will be a win for Arca, as Queese is just going to launch straight again. So he's not really going to have a chance. You see, it's very uncontrollable. He's not making contact at all. So he's already lost a lot of stamina heading up against the Xtend. So this next matchup will be between Mateo and Kamek. Now, Kamek is the 4th highest ranking blader in North Carolina. And the combos these two bladers are using is Mateo is using Tempest Lucifer 2 with 1S Will and Drift, and Kamek is using his Hollow Lucifer 2 with 2A and Xtend Plus. Now, Kamek does come up with a lot of unique and fairly decent combos, and this is one of the combos he came up with, which I do believe he dubs a Tempest killer, as he does beat a lot of Tempest combos with this combo. And something else to mention specific to team events is team events are not a deck format, as each blader is awarded their ranking within the ranking system. So like I said before, there isn't a team ranking. So with that said, technically bladers on a team can all use the same combo. So they could all use, say, Tempest, Solomon, 1S Low, Xtend Plus, as the rankings are individual. So you can repeat parts within your team. So this is another same spin matchup for a drift combo, and there's really two strategies here if you're the person who's not using drift. So for Kamek, he's using Xtend Plus, so he can count on Mateo doing a hard launch and going out of control, so he can sort of launch light and aim for the center, or he can do a hard launch and try to KO, as his Xtend Plus is awoken. And what you actually just saw there is a good example of a missed launch. As you can see, his Hollow was severely underpowered when he launched it, and if you look at some of Kamek's matches, he does launch his Hollow fairly hard. So as soon as he launched, he called a missed launch, and that pretty much just resets this round. So one thing Kamek also has to think about is the chance of him light launching and Mateo doing a hard launch, a hard sliding launch and making contact. As Mateo does that and Kamek light launches, Mateo does have a pretty good chance of winning. But if they are both light launching, as long as Kamek is launching slightly harder, he will win this matchup, as you just saw. So this matchup will pretty much be the same result throughout. Because Kamek is really good, so he knows the strategies behind launching. As you can see, he is launching pretty light, and Mateo did do a decent launch there. He did angle it to make contact with that launch.
Remember, you guys got one more time out if you want.
So this is something different also, a Tempest 1S will Drift. I think that would be a decent combo in opposite spin actually, as Drift is really good opposite spin. So you can see there, Kamek did launch pretty light and Mateo launched a bit harder. So I do think Mateo actually does win this, because Kamek launched really light on that. So Kamek will end up winning this, and this will be a important win for Team 1B, as this will pretty much solidify them a spot in the finals. And you can see there, Mateo launched harder than he did before, so he did immediately go into a tornado slice. He launched straight down, and Kamek launched pretty much in the center. So Mateo did lose a lot of stamina. Alright, so this next matchup is between teams 1A and 3B. And Team 1A was made up of Frost, Official Huddy, and I believe it's pronounced Okady. And Okady, he's never played Beyblade before. So one of the strategies I actually used in this tournament is I told everyone that he plays all the time in Japan. So I think that did kind of psych out some of the bladers. Now Team 3B was made up of Rain, Arias, and Jaden. And the combos used by these teams is Team 1A used Tempest Solomon 1 as well Xtend Plus, Tempest Hyperion 2 with the Metal Chip Core, 2A and Xtend Plus, and World with 2B Drift and Spriggan. And Team 3B, they used Rage Longinus, 3A Atomic, I believe Jet Scyther with 2B and Atomic, and I'm not actually sure of their last combos. Now the first matchup is between Frost and Jaden Will. So it is the Tempest Solomon 1S Will versus the Rage Longinus on 3A and Atomic, I believe. So I was expecting him to hard launch and try to KO me, as I honestly didn't pay attention to what driver he had. So I did light launch, and you can see there, he did throw the launcher forward when he launched, because he was trying to make some really good contact with me. So from here on out, what I'm thinking is I need to light launch so that I don't get KO'd. And for some reason there, he launched pretty light. So this, in the case of stamina, this is definitely a victory for Tempest. And you'll see throughout this entire matchup, I will light launch. And there is the last round, you see that I won't light launch. So you'll see what happens there. So the first point was counted as a mislaunch when Jaden went into the pocket, which is it is a good ruling, as he is a newer and younger player, so it is good to give them the chance to not self KO.
Ready player set. 3, 2, shoot.
So he should really be tilting his launcher to try to make better contact with me, rather than kind of throwing his hand forward and trying to hit the Tempest combo, as he can end up jumping over it like he did in the first round. So you'll see this time, I won't actually light launch. So if you look at Jaden, this is something I noticed. He is very focused on my hands and how I'm launching, and right away I know he's going to try to aim at me and KO me. So what I actually do is, seeing this, I actually turn my hand and launch sideways. So I launch this way so that he would go past me. As from the way he launched, I do believe if he would have hit me, it definitely would have KO'd me. Or I shouldn't say definitely, it probably would have KO'd me. So I did launch this way, as I was pretty sure he was going to go straight on at me. So ideally I would have wanted him to go in the pocket. But either way, I did launch light. He's not launching that hard, so I'm fairly certain I'm going to win these matchups against him. Now, this next matchup is between Official Huddy and Rain. And Official Huddy is... Okay, what happened there? Alright, that's fine. That's fine where we were. Let's go back a little. Okay, so yeah, so Official Huddy is using Tempest, Hyperion 2 with the Metal Chip Core 2A and Xtend Plus, and Rain is using Jet Scyther with 2B and Atomic. So I'm not sure if you watched my videos or not, but that is a combo minus the Scyther chip that I did do in combo versus, and I do like that combo a lot. I'm not sure why, but I do like that combo. So this is Xtend Plus versus Atomic, but this Tempest combo definitely weighs more than this Jet combo. So really, Rain wants to launch as hard as he can, and Official Huddy also wants to launch as hard as he can. So you'll see, it doesn't seem like Rain is launching that hard. And there it did look like he launched fairly hard. And when Official Huddy launched, his 2A did scrape on the stadium, so there you can tell he did lose a lot of stamina. So with Jet, I really wanted Jet to be a good ring, but honestly, I don't think it's that good. I really wanted it to be good, as I do like the gimmick of the ring. It just doesn't really work, honestly. So yeah, that time you can see Rain did launch a little light. You can see there he did launch a bit harder and managed to get the KO. So at this point, Rain can get a win for his rankings, but the team would win. win. And official Huddy did launch a little late on that launch. I'm not sure what happened there. I do notice that sometimes he does launch kind of late. I'm not sure if it's the countdown of 3, 2, 1 go shoot, but he does launch late sometimes. However, I don't believe that the late launching would have changed the win there. And I also don't think Bill the Rob believed that either, which is probably why that wasn't called a rematch. So, the next matchup is Okiti and Arias. And as I said, Okiti, this was his first tournament, and he used World 2B Drift throughout the entire tournament. And I told them some really simple things. I told them, if you're going against the same spin, launch as hard as you can. And if you're going, or rather, I didn't say same spin, I said if you're going against a left Beyblade, launch as hard as you can. And if you're going against a right Beyblade, launch light. So that was all I told him, and I do believe he won every matchup. Now, something I probably should have told him was to tilt his launcher when he's launching, as he is using my Awoken Drift. So it is pretty uncontrollable, but he is launching it pretty light most of the time. And that is something important to note, as since we are in a pandemic and COVID is going on, by WDO rules, you are supposed to step away when you launch. Now, I do think players get in the zone and don't really think about that, and also some of the judges do get into the zone of the match sometimes and don't really announce that. So that was a good job by Bill the Rob, reminding everyone to step back. So for this, Team 1A has already won, and yeah, that drift is just, it's pretty hard to beat. Alright, so the next matchup is a bit ironic, as the finals is actually 1A versus 1B, or the name of the tournament, 1A versus 1B. And the way we chose these names, Official Huddy chose 1A, and I'm not sure how Kamek picked their team name, but it was a bit funny that the finals was 1A versus 1B. Now, the combos used in the finals were Team 1A used World Helios 2 with the Metal Chip Core, 2B and Zone Dash plus Z, Raised Diabolos with 2S and Drift, and World Spriggan with 2B Orbit Metal. And Team 1B used Master Left Spin Around Drift. They used the Hollow Lucifer 2 with 2A and Xtend Plus. And they used Tempest Solomon with the Metal Chip Core 1S Roll and Atomic. Now, the way Team 1A picked their combos is, the entire tournament we used the same combos, the 2 Tempest combos and the World on Drift. So I was expecting Kamek's team to try to counter the Tempest combos. And if you look at the Beyblades they used, they definitely were prepared to counter the 2 Tempest, as they use the Left Spin Master on Drift, which is known to be Tempest on Xtend Plus, and they use the Tempest Solomon with the Metal Chip Core 1S Wheel on Atomic, which is known to beat the Tempest Solomon 1S Wheel on Xtend Plus in same spin matchups. And the Hollow Lucifer has beaten Tempest combos before. So their whole lineup was geared at taking out 2 Tempest combos, which would have definitely won them the matchup. And I'm not sure if they had a plan to beat the world on drift, but really all they really needed to do was take out those 2 Tempest combos. So the whole plan for 1A was riding on the 1B team, countering Tempest combos. So what we did instead was that we used combos which would counter the counters to the Tempest combos. So for instance, Spriggan on 2B left spin on orbit metal can beat pretty much any left spin combo, and the zone plus Z can be opposite spin Tempest combos. So this first matchup is the World Helios 2 with the 2B on zone dash plus Z versus the Master around drift. And I think right away with this matchup, Arca kind of knew he was in trouble. And you can see he did kind of launch in a way which would cause a tornado stall.
Set, 3, 2, 1, shoot.
So that was a good launch for Arca, as I think he did notice that Official Huddy was kind of launching in a way which would cause him to tornado stall multiple times. So Kamek did call a timeout, and I'm not sure what he said in the timeout, but I think it was something along the lines of trying to KO the world combo as its tornado stall. So what I told Official Huddy during the timeout was to pull the launcher slow and launch in the center, as I was certain that Arca was going to try to go for the KO on the outside. So let's go back to the start of this matchup.
Ready, set, 3, 2, 1, shoot.
And you can see here, Official Huddy launched in the center, and Arca winded up doing a tornado stall. I'm fairly certain he was either trying to KO him as he tornado stall, or maybe counting on him doing a self KO.
Set, 3, 2, 1, shoot.
Yeah, so he launched in the center that time, Arca. So I think he was kind of counting on the tornado stall self KO. But Official Huddy also launched in the center. And this is same spin, and opposite spin, it is kind of 50-50. But same spin, I do think that zone dash plus Z has a bit more stamina than the drift combo. Now, this next matchup, the Bladers are using Rage, Diabolos, 2S Drift, and the Hollow Lucifer 2, 2A Extend Plus. Now, Rage on 2S Drift is a combo I sort of been playing around with for a little bit of time. Now, I've never used it in a tournament. I've kind of just always had it sitting around, maybe waiting to use. But it did do pretty good, as the idea behind this combo of using this over the world combo was, with the shape of Rage, we were kind of planning on it KOing opposite spin Beyblades. Now this is opposite spin Drift versus Extend Plus, so Drift definitely has an advantage.
3, 2, 1, shoot.
And it did look like Kamek might have launched light, maybe thinking that Okadi was going to hard launch and self KO, However, I did tell him to light launch and opposite spin. So had I not told him that, I do believe Katie would have probably hard launched every single time. So at this point, seeing that Okadi is light launching, Kamek really should change his mode to either defense or attack and try to KO this rage combo. And he actually does make the right decision to change his mode.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Motivator set. 3, 2, okay, shit.
And Okadi did launch a little bit harder that time. And Kamek did change his mode, but he did launch light again. So I do believe he should have been launching a lot harder.
Okay, pretty sure that was great, but I'm gonna check that. Yeah, that was not what I do, so.
So this matchup will be a win for Okadi. And I apologize if I'm butchering his name. I'm not sure of the correct pronunciation of his name. So that is a good point that Kamek made. He wanted to switch the mode of his 2A. Now, I usually see 2A on Tempest combos, and it doesn't matter how it is on there, as Tempest is just a kind of perfect, it's not a perfect circle, but it does match up on both sides. However, with Hollow, you do have that sight, and depending on how you have 2A, more blades are showing. So again, Kamek did launch pretty light. And he does know more about this combo, as this is his combo that he put together. He never actually used that combo, but based on Xtend plus versus drift and opposite spin, seeing that the opponent is light launching, I'd be hard launching, trying to knock that drift combo out, as I do know that it will equalize and it has better stamina and lag than in Xtend Plus. Now this matchup is Frost versus Beyblade Blast, and Beyblade Blast is using Tempest Solomon with the Metal Chip Core 1S Will and Atomic, and Frost is using World Spriggan with 2B and Orbit Metal and left spin. So right away, if you notice, I mentioned that Beyblade Blast has this matchup, as he definitely has the advantage. He has Tempest on Atomic, and I'm using a World and Opposite Spin on Orbit Metal. Now, my Orbit Metal is, I don't want to say awoken, but I've been using it for 6 months since World came out. I've been using this combo, and the more you use Orbit Metal, the stiffer the metal ball gets, and it kind of makes the movement a little bit erratic and jerky. Now, a brand new Orbit Metal, as I've tested this, same spin can beat Tempest on Xtend Plus. I'm not sure if it can beat a Tempest on Atomic in same spin, but I do know a brand new Orbit Metal, same spin, can beat Tempest on Xtend Plus. So, seeing as how this is a opposite spin, I'm trying to launch as hard as I can to knock his Tempest out, as I do think that at the time I thought that he would light launch, as if he light launches, he'll win. So you'll notice that he doesn't actually, like, he light launched kind of that time, but the way I launched my world, I was able to come around and hit him. And yeah, that might have been a lucky hit. And right now my orbit medal is in free spin, or not my orbit medal, my 2B is free spin. And something else to notice is he is tilting, trying to get to the center, which is very good. So he did a perfect launch that time. He launched it light, he tilted it so that it would go to the center and not spin around the outside. So in a stamina matchup, opposite spin, atomic beats orbit medal. At least it beats my orbit medal, my stiffened orbit medal.
Okay, so that's 1-1.
Like I said, you'll notice the entire time I'm launching hard, I'm trying to KO.
3-2 on the shoot. The fact that that's orbit medal.
And yeah, he'll win this matchup. As if it comes down to a battle of stamina, the Tempest is going to win. So that's the last thing that I want to happen, is a battle of stamina. And after this matchup, something I realized was that my Tempest was still in free spin mode, and I really wanted, sorry, I shouldn't say Tempest, I use Tempest so often. My world is in free spin mode, the 2B, and I want it to be as aggressive as possible. So I do switch it to attack mode, because I really want to just get a really good hit and knock him out.
3-2 on the shoot.
And you see there, he pulled way too hard. He should have light launched. He pulled it way too hard and happened to get KO'd. He would have been a lot safer light launching. He probably would have won this matchup, just light launching the entire time. I'm sure if he watches this, he'll light launch from now on if he goes up against the World 2B orbit medal opposite spin. So you'll also see in this last matchup, he's taking a pretty aggressive, I don't want to say stance because he's kneeling, but the way his launcher is, it is pretty aggressive. We're both tilted in like we're going to try to go at each other. So seeing this, I do what I did earlier, where I will throw my launcher this way to try to get the Beyblade to go that way. However, with the way orbit medal is kind of stiff on there, it'll only go for a second and then it will spin out. So you'll see the first round that happened as well as I threw my launcher this way, and when it landed, it kind of spun back around. So it'll land this way and curve back in.
3-2.
So you see, he pulled pretty hard and self-KO'd. So yeah, I'd say that whole matchup was pretty lucky. So if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff. Thanks.